When you sleep, your body doesn't rest. It switches on an automatic protocol that never runs during the day. As you enter deep sleep, your brain begins to cleanse itself. Your liver quietly releases toxins, and your gut resets the entire system. It's like a city that shuts down its daytime traffic so the sanitation crews can work at night. Everything happens quietly, but with extreme precision. The problem is, most of us let this night shift operate on its own, underpowered and unsupported. And when you know how to synchronize the right biological stimulus with this natural cycle, the body responds so quickly that you can feel it within just a few nights, even while you're asleep. Most people think a bloated belly is caused by fat, but the truth is, much of that bulge comes from waste buildup, fermentation gas, and stagnation in the gut. The intestines are like a holding tank. When flow slows down, waste gets trapped, bacteria ferment, gas accumulates, and the belly expands, even if you haven't gained any fat. Castor oil doesn't burn fat, it restores flow. Castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, a compound with a unique affinity for EP3 receptors on the smooth muscle of the intestines. Think of EP3 as a rhythm switch. When that switch is activated, the gut begins contracting in smooth, steady waves, strong enough to move stagnant waste forward, but gentle enough to avoid shock or pain. At the same time, the oil penetrates deeply through the abdominal tissue, breaking down biofilm, the sticky layer where bacteria and fermentation gases hide long term. As this layer breaks apart, gas is released, pressure drops, and the belly begins to flatten. You're not losing water, you're clearing out a fermentation tank. But the biggest change doesn't happen at the waistline. It happens in the waste drainage system most people forget about, the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is the network that carries waste out of tissues, but it has no pump of its own. It relies on movement and the right kind of stimulation. When you apply castor oil to the abdomen, you're creating a biological signal, like manually priming a pump. Why does this work? Because castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, the only compound known to penetrate the abdominal wall and interact directly with lymphatic receptors. Studies show that after just 24 hours of exposure to this compound, Peyer's patches in the small intestine become activated. Think of Peyer's patches as the immune system's training camp. When this camp is awakened, it rapidly deploys large numbers of lymphocytes. These cells spread throughout the body to hunt pathogens and clear toxins. The result is that you wake up the next morning feeling lighter, not because you lost water, but because waste has been moved out. As the gut begins to clear, other systems start to self-regulate. About 90% of serotonin, the happiness hormone, is produced in the gut. When the gut is congested, mood drops, energy is low, and the body holds on to fat. When flow is restored, nerve signaling becomes clearer and hormones gradually rebalance. Using castor oil is not a harsh laxative. It doesn't force. It doesn't shock. It softens stubborn buildup in the colon, like soaking a dried stain in warm, soapy water. Once the buildup softens, natural intestinal movement can gently detach it from the intestinal wall and move it out. But there is one extremely important rule. Castor oil is highly absorbent. Skin is not a barrier, it's a gateway. If you choose the wrong oil, you're not healing, you're delivering toxins directly into the body. Avoid at all costs oils extracted with hexane, a toxic industrial chemical that can irritate the lungs and nervous system. And most importantly, the oil must be stored in a glass bottle. Castor oil dissolves plastic. If stored in plastic, it will leach BPA and phthalates, hormone-disrupting chemicals that damage the reproductive system and thyroid. When you apply oil from a plastic bottle to your abdomen, you are effectively pumping these chemicals straight into your organs. The method is simple. Soak the oil into a clean cloth. Place it over the lower abdomen or liver area. Wear an old shirt because castor oil stains easily, and go to sleep. Don't try to add anything to your body. Let it subtract. While you sleep, the night shift completes its work. Flow is restored, waste is cleared, the belly flattens. Not because you forced it, but because the body is finally allowed to work the way it was designed to. If this video helped you understand what's really happening inside your metabolism, make sure to subscribe, hit like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next video.